immature things. You know, like, do you love me? Do you want me? Are you gonna call me like you said you would? Is this really your real phone number? But you know, I'm a man now, baby, a grown man. And I came a long way. Now, Spears taught me one thing. Taught me to hold on to my love. Sometimes I just can't help thinking living without you, baby. See, sometimes I just can't live crying about you, baby. I'm not worried about the doggone thing. I take anything you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for today's event. We are going to get started in just a moment, but we would love to hear who has come to join us for this session on Google for Education's professional development programs and communities. So if you're comfortable, we would love for you to introduce yourself in the chat that is below where I'm speaking on your screen. Feel free to share your name, your role at your school, where you're located, and one thing that you're hoping to learn during today's session. Thanks so much, and we'll get started in just a moment. All right. So it looks like we've got plenty of people here, and we're going to get started. For those that didn't hear, I asked this group if you guys are comfortable to please introduce yourselves so that we can get a sense of who's joining us with your name, where you're located, your role at your school, and we'd love to also hear one thing that you're hoping to get out of today's session. And for those that I don't know, my name is Amanda Del Balso. I have the pleasure of representing our Google for Education team this evening, and you'll hear from one of my coaches later as I also lead our certified coach program. So we're going to cover a whole bunch of content today, but before we move beyond this slide, I did want to highlight this link here at the bottom, g.co/edu/programs. And that's something I encourage you to jot down on a Post-it that's nearby or bookmark, and also know that this will get sent to you afterwards because much of the information that we are going to cover this evening is also on that central website. And so just as a friendly reminder, you have joined our Edu OnAir event about our Google for Education team's professional development programs and communities. And we're really excited that you have joined us for this, especially during such a super busy time of the school year. Really, our goal is that tonight you'll have the opportunity to hear from many of the folks on our team who look after the different programs, but perhaps most importantly, also some really phenomenal educators from all around the world who've already participated in these programs and will share how they've leveraged them to support their individual professional development journeys, their own learning, as well as how they've shared that beyond themselves into their different school communities. And we know that this is a super unprecedented time, frankly, in the world, as well as in the education space. So we really hope that these examples and what you hear from folks tonight will help you better understand how all of our different programs and offerings can really support you during this rapidly changing time. So with that, we can go on to the next slide, and I will just give you a little bit of an introduction about those different programs. Great. So lots of information on this slide. And as I mentioned, you will get this afterwards. But really what we want to convey here is that there are a number of different programs and resources that our team puts together, all with the goal of helping meet educators wherever they are on their journey towards learning how to use technology for impactful teaching and learning. And so just for a moment here, I'm going to try to highlight some of the most unique elements of each of these programs, but know that what they all have in common is really to help educators build upon their own skills and to do that in a way that helps them create really meaningful learning experiences in their classrooms. Ultimately, our goal is really to transform teaching and learning for everyone. So on the left-hand side here, you'll see in the yellow the L1 and L2 certified educator programs. And as you may have seen in a blog post that came out earlier this week from our team, we just reached over 100,000 certified educators having gained these certifications. And we're really excited about that because what the L1 and L2, as we call them, certifications really do is enable educators to show and gain their own mastery of how they're using Google tools. So if you wanted to, for example, show how you've gotten excellent lately at using Google Meet or Google Forms and several other products, this would be an excellent way for you to demonstrate that expertise. And what's also great about getting these certifications in particular is that they then open the door for everything else you see to the right. So the trainer, coach, and innovator programs, because the L1 and L2 certifications are basically prerequisites for those programs. And I won't give away too much about the trainer program yet, because you're going to get to hear from May, who leads the program for our team, as well as Nicole, who is also a certified trainer just after me. But in a nutshell, I will say that the trainer program located there in blue is really an opportunity for you as an educator to show and develop skills around delivering really excellent, what we like to call group professional development to teachers. So whether that's an in-person or more likely these days, a virtual PD day where you're helping folks in your school community, perhaps beyond your school community, understand how to use Google tools really effectively, Trainer is a great program for you. And then close to my heart is the Coach program. Coach is the newest certification on the block, if you will. It just launched this past summer after being in a pilot phase for several years. And I will say, whereas the Trainer program focuses mostly on that one-to-many, if you will, professional development type approach, the Coach program is really designed to help instructional coaches or folks that work in instructional coach-like roles work one-on-one with educators to help them identify a really specific classroom challenge or goal that a teacher has, and then tackle it with different technology-based strategies. And then finally, last but not least, we may even have some innovators on this call, but Innovator is an excellent program for those who really feel passionately about tackling a really big, ambitious, innovative challenge that they see in education. And so in that program, you're connected with many other education influencers, and you go through a really compelling exercise of how you can take that idea and go through sort of a design thinking like workshop to help come up with different solutions. And we, in fact, just had our first ever all virtual cohort, VIA 20, conclude. And it was an excellent experience. So if any of you are out there and you just graduated from VIA 20 this past weekend, congratulations, and feel free to fill in any gaps about the program in the chat that I did not do justice. So with that is my very high level orientation to each of our programs. And now we're going to get a lot deeper into each of them. So I'm going to turn it over to May to introduce Nicole.
Thanks so much, Amanda. Hey, everyone. So as Amanda said, I'm May, and I am the program owner of our trainer program here at Google. I'm so excited to introduce you all to Nicole. I'll actually let her share her background and her story around being in our trainer program, but I did want to call out one specific thing. In the last year, I've met many Google community members, and I've loved every conversation I've had. But I really, truly have to say that my first conversation with Nicole probably remains at the top 3 convos I've ever had. She is inspiring. She is so passionate, super charismatic and funny. So you'll get to see that. So Nicole, I'll let you take it away.
Thanks, May. Like, no pressure, right? Be your best self. And I feel the same way about you. I think we both just share about supporting teachers, because that's really like the hardest job in a school district is the work that happens in the classroom. And so I just feel really blessed that I am able to walk right alongside teachers to just help them, carry the load and use technology in order to do their jobs better. So I am an instructional technology coordinator in the Dallas, Texas area. I was a classroom teacher for about 10 years, and then I moved into an instructional coaching role where I had to be like so many places at one time. I quickly learned that technology was going to help me do that. And so as I began doing that, teachers started saying, whoa, like you're using this to differentiate our support. We want a little piece of that also. So I began to study and get certifications. And so now I am able to help and walk alongside the teachers in my district as they get even more googly. So it was my desire. Like, I don't want to be the only trainer in our district. I want to see more teachers in our district grow with level 1 and level 2. I want to see them get trainer, and I want them to just become more confident in using all things Google. So last school year, we actually launched iTech Champions in our district. And so this is exactly what it sounds like. It's just a group of teachers who are champions for technology, champions for teaching and learning with Google in our district. We started with 10 teachers, and we meet and we are very intentional on our meeting. We know that our purpose, our mission is to use technology in a way that will drive instruction and that will help students learn. And so we meet every grading period. They learn and they share. We plan for what we're going to do. And then they go and they just kind of, I feel like they're like spreading the gospel of instructional technology in our campus district. So we started with 10 teachers, and we have more than tripled that number this year. Really excited about their work. Their work pushes me, right? It pushes me to learn more. It pushes me to just find better solutions to meet their needs. It pushes me to want to figure out, what else can we do with all of these amazing tools for teaching and learning. When we met, which I think Amanda mentioned earlier, like all of our trainings have been virtual since March, but I will say also, like since March, there's one of me, and we have 9 campuses. It's been this group of teachers that have really help me to, just support the entire district. So that's just been such an honor to walk alongside them for sure. The last time that we met, we actually have some student tech clubs. And so our next piece is we also want to like bring students into this and help students learn more so that they can also kind of like mini trainers. So I'm really excited. I feel like our teachers have just like really caught a hold of this. They're really excited. The things that they're doing with kids and just their willingness to like jump in and say, yeah, I'll do it. Like their willingness to say, I may not know what to do, because not all of these teachers are like tech savvy. They're at different various levels where it comes to technology, but I can see them getting stronger. I see them sharing their love of technology, and it's evident because as they get stronger, they're sitting for L1. We have a group of teachers from last year who are now ready for their L2, and I'm just expecting that this time next year, I'll say we have some trainers or some people that are waiting to become trainers for sure.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Nicole, for sharing. It's incredible to hear all of the amazing things that the trainer program has accomplished. And with that, we're going to move over to the coach program. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm Amanda. I have the great pleasure of looking after the coach program on behalf of our team. And I'm so excited to introduce my old friend, Jared, as he'll tell you when he has an opportunity. Oh, there he is, to talk through his story. Jared was actually one of the very first coaches that we worked with as part of a pilot that we did. And we called that pilot the Dynamic Learning Project. And really it was where we tested all of the different tools and strategies that then sort of graduated, if you will, into the certified coach program. So Jared has gone through all of the hiccups with us. We have lived all of the analogies around, planes flying while you're moving in them, and cars and all the transportation analogies while it's moving, and has just been such an asset to the program. So thanks, Jared, for telling your story today.
Well, you're welcome. I'm very happy to be here to talk about the Certified Coach program. So yeah, like Amanda said, I was one of the first 50 coaches as part of the pilot program, the Dynamic Learning Project, and that first year was definitely a little crazy because we were all building the plane as we were flying it. But I will tell you what, it was the most rewarding experience I have ever had, to be honest. So the certified coaching program, let me tell you about it, because I could spend all day, and I know I don't have all day, but it is a fantastic program. So it's a challenge-based coaching model, and the idea behind it is to empower teachers to leverage technology in transformative ways. And as a coach, and I forgot to actually introduce myself, so my bad on that. I'm Jared is my name, but I am actually a digital learning coach in Lexington, South Carolina. So that way you know where I'm at. But yes, so empowering teachers is the big takeaway with being a coach. And being a coach and being able to provide those opportunities to teachers, to either skills or mindset changes, to be able to empower them to really take charge, to use technology in ways that they have never used before, is absolutely fantastic. A little bit about where I started. So my district is a very progressive thinking district, and we were always on top of technology, but we couldn't find a coaching model that fit what we needed it to do. And before the certified coaching program, my job was basically to stand and deliver the latest and greatest apps that I found out in the App Store or out on the internet, and hope and try to get teachers to use it, because in the beginning, let's be honest, devices were kind of a placeholder on your desk or something like that. They weren't really being used. But after the coaching program, the challenge-based coaching model, it really can transform not only coaching in your building, the way technology is used, but also relationships with your teachers and your principals. Like, it can, if you can get enough buy-in and you can see the results, it really can transform a lot of things. So the curriculum, you do want to take your time going through the curriculum. When you start it, it's going to look a little overwhelming, but I'm going to tell you, it is a journey worth taking. So go through the curriculum, read things slowly, appreciate everything and all the information that is there, because really it's the blueprints. It was the blueprints for me to build that solid foundation of coaching. So skills like having difficult conversations with teachers was one of the skills I have learned. I haven't quite mastered it yet, but it is one of those skills where I'm always learning about how to have hard conversations with teachers about things that you see in their classroom or things that might need to be tweaked, but also to be that side-by-side partner with them in that non-evaluative, non-threatening way, that you are really there to be their partner, to co-teach, to be in the room, to do whatever it is they need you to do. And even if that is setting up a bunch of devices or logging a bunch of kids in, as long as you are there with them, it is fantastic. So the coaching program, so with the strategies and the different things that it gives you, I will tell you the impact that you can have. It's a ripple effect. So, when you talk about coaching, and I'm sure with being a trainer, you can see that ripple effect. Well, with coaching, that ripple effect is really, really true and really big. In the Dynamic Learning Project, the emblems were a circle with another circle and another circle inside of it. And they always said that you as the coach is in the center. And then as you work with teachers, that ripple effect will affect the teachers, will affect the students, the school, the community, and so on and so forth. And it's really true. I have seen teachers grow from not using a device to basic substitution. And you know what? I'm happy with basic substitution on the Sandler model. If that's what causes the teacher to grow and that's the challenge the teacher has, well, then good for them for doing, basic substitution. But then you're going to have those that are early adopters that are really going to want to go further, go faster, try to do the best that they can. And those can be also just as rewarding as the ones at the very basic level. I'll tell you, when I talk about coaching, there are a couple big things that come out in my mind in terms of successes. One of those big successes in my first year as implementing this model was a veteran who was in her last year of teaching. All right, last year, this was year, I think 31 or 32, she was done. But she took on coaching because she knew me. We had a relationship, a positive relationship where I was always willing to help her with technology. So she took that and got on a coaching cycle. And it transformed her last year. And she will even say to this day how much she loved doing that. Because in that last year, we went from her giving worksheets to standing in front of the classroom, presenting from a PowerPoint, to doing hyperdocs. And so hyperdocs, and I'll tell you, it was a challenge that she kept on. She wasn't going to do a whole lot, but hyperdocs was the key takeaway, and she used it the rest of the year and said how much that really took her away from the board to being able to provide the students the information, have them do the research, and then be a partner in the learning instead of the one giving the learning. Another fantastic takeaway from coaching was we had 7th graders wanting to collaborate with high schoolers. The teachers wanted to do some kind of collaboration project. And so the technology tool was Skype and Flipgrid, and we were able to collaborate with high school experts in an agricultural program in our district to be those experts to the students for them to do their research for their GMO project. And it was amazing. In fact, I have a couple of pictures on this slide of the kids huddled around the computers and learning about GMOs and agriculture type things from high school students that weren't that much older than they were. And then lastly, the most recent one was in a high school US history class. So I had 2 students in this class who just didn't do anything. The teacher was so frustrated. They were misbehaving. They didn't do much. They didn't want to do anything. Well, we did a project where the kids had to develop their own travel agency company. They had to make a website. And then from that website, they had to create a tour using Google Earth. Those 2 kids that were the frustration of that teacher took this project and ran with it. Their project was amazing, not perfect, but was amazing for what they were able to accomplish. And they were excited. And at the end of that lesson, they were like, what's next? What is next? And that, as a coach and as a teacher, is very powerful when the kids are like, this is great, this worked. And then that empowers the teacher to want to keep moving forward, to keep trying new things. And even if they fail, they feel good because they know I can fail forward. I have my coach, I can work together, and we can move on and keep going forward. And that's very, very powerful. Now, the one great thing about being a coach, and like all of Google's programs, is the community. So when you become a Google certified coach, you get to belong to a community of coaches, just like you do if you're a certified educator, a trainer, innovator, and so on. You are part of a community. And the community involves a lot of the original dynamic learning project coaches, coaches that are just completing the program, coaches that will be completing the program. You will have a massive PLN there to help you and be with you as you do it. Because I can tell you, as a coach, it can be a lonely job and it can be very isolating. Even like for me, I'm in a district where I have other coaches that do the same thing that I do in other buildings, but it can be very lonely in your school. And sometimes, you know, even if you have other people in your district working with you, it can kind of be an echo chamber. So sometimes having that PLN there to reach out and say, hey, has anybody experiencing this? Has anybody tried this? What do you think? And you get the responses back, and it's really, really powerful what that can do. One of the greatest things with the Dynamic Learning Project was the fact that we were provided mentors through that. And so the mentors, the other coaches really gave me the confidence as a coach to keep growing, to keep moving forward, to keep bettering myself, which, you know, if it wasn't for the coaching program, I would have never become a trainer. I would never have put myself out there for Innovator, and I wouldn't have put myself out there to be a GEG leader. And so having that PLN, having people there that can be your cheerleader, that can also be the kind of people that can kind of reel you in, you know, sometimes you get a little like, woo, and so they're a good way to reel in. So the PLNs, the communities, it's a great way to find your tribe, find some people that are out there, and my tribe, my PLN is constantly growing. I see some of y'all in the chat. So shout out to everybody in the chat that I know, because you guys are, again, part of my PLN, and that means a whole lot. And that's something that you don't get from other programs. Google really does a great job with that. So really, that ripple effect as a coach, it's real. When you complete the program and complete it with fidelity, take your time. Again, make sure you take your time through it. Do those coaching cycles. Meet with the teacher, do everything it tells you to do, because I will tell you that ripple effect is real, and you will see the results very, very quickly. So if you are an instructional coach and you're out there watching this video, definitely take a look at this program, because it is fantastic.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jared. That was awesome.
You're
sounds
welcome.
like an amazing program. It gives me great pleasure. And before I do, I just want to give a shout out to our interpreter, who is doing an amazing job. So thanks for that. My name is Chris Betcher. I'm the program manager for all of these amazing Google programs in the Australia-New Zealand region. And it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you Luke Dyer. Luke is a newly minted innovator, but also holds level 1. Level 2 is also a Google trainer. And just recently went through the Virtual Innovator Academy, the first one, VIA 20, to become a certified innovator. Luke is a Kiwi. That's someone from New Zealand, not the large flightless bird, but is currently teaching in Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam. And so it gives me great pleasure to introduce you to Luke. Take it away.
Thanks, Chris. Kia ora, everybody, and Xin Chao. Yeah, wow, it's just been amazing listening to Jared and Nicole talk about their journey. And now, as Chris said, I am a newly minted Google Innovator of 4 days so far. So here I am in Ho Chi Minh, a teacher. I teach STEM, computing, and now have just become an innovator. And it's just an amazing journey, and one which I highly recommend for you if you want to take your learning and your tech integration to that next stage. So this year was different. This year was not the normal Google Innovator course. Because of the situation in the world right now, we went virtual. And it was interesting. It was different. I think there's a bit of apprehension at the start from those creating the program, those being involved in the program. But wow, it was, instead of being a 3-day course, we had 8 weeks of non-stop challenges and connections and collaborations, and it was fantastic. But previously, I did not believe that virtual classes could hold that same rigor as a face-to-face lesson. But this one, the Virtual Innovator VIA 20, was just phenomenal. We had coaches, we had design coaches, we had mentors, we had small groups of people together. If you can see by the images on the screen, shout out to my AP Igniters, the Asia Pacific friends. And we met every week as a group of 6 people with our coach. Then we also met as a design group within a set time zone. And then we had whole group events of 76 people. And we followed a design process where we worked towards a challenge, a problem which we saw in the world around us, which we were facing. And then we were mentored through that step. Instead of having a 3-day work through, we got almost 9 weeks to slowly, steadily take through that process and work it through. And some of the magic which has come out of those sessions is, you'll see it in the next coming up year, as these projects come into fruition. It is just amazing. You take on it the group of people who you got to work with and be inspired by and become friends with. I contact them every day now, these people who are there, and I see many of them in the chat at the moment. Phenomenal. So highlights, I guess the highlights other than the people, people for me was the key connection. The next highlight would come down to the challenge. I think as a person, I take a moment or two sometimes to observe what's going on and then get involved. But with the way the program was paced out, I was able to get involved a lot faster, be inspired, be challenged, and just take it to that next level. As a person, I now know that I'm able to challenge myself to make a change, and that there is a group, this global Google education group, who are there to support me at every step of the process. They will challenge me, they will inspire me, they will question me, and then if they can, they will help and collaborate and just build upon what's going on there, which is, yeah, for me, magical. How can this program benefit people? Well, I guess the way that's going to benefit you is if you're at that level where you've done your level 1, you've done your level 2, you're trying to think how you can make a further impact, not just with your teachers, but with your students, with your parents, maybe with the wider school community, even global. Some of the projects which I've seen come out of the Innovator Academy, Breakout Edu, I've used that so many times virtually and with the breakout boxes, and to discover that was an innovative project is just shows you that this is fantastic. There are people trying to empower youth in troubled areas. There are people who are trying to train teachers where there is not the technology there. It's supporting the community, it's building up communities, and those are the projects which you're working on if you take on this innovative project. Mind-blowing. Some of the coolest things which happened within the project, there was a Spark Camp Saturday. Now, I've never sat on my computer for so long and been engaged and challenged and thinking really, really, wow, these 24 hours of 20-minute sessions of people just giving their time and giving a passion and challenging people to think about their pedagogy, to think about their practice, to think about how they can change and flip and pivot and do something differently. Brilliant. What else went on there? The weekly coaching sessions. Now, the cool thing about the virtual Innovator Academy is we were actually at the same time, we were guinea pigging some of the just released Google products. So we had breakout rooms, we were using Jamboard. 1 second you're in a session with your coach, and the next session you're chatting to someone who's in Scotland, and the next person's in the Philippines, and you're pitching your idea and you're challenging and questioning what's going on. It's brilliant. Advice for anybody who thinks that they would like to get involved with this would be, put yourself out there. For me, naturally, I don't like to throw myself out there, but do it, because you just missed the opportunity. Challenge yourself to think, how can you make a challenge and make a change and make a difference? And I think just go for it. Really put the effort in there, and you will be inspired and supported along the process, and you'll take your learning and your education to that next level. It's phenomenal and beyond belief. Yeah, I'd love to answer any questions later on if you have them, because as many of the other colleagues here have said, I can speak about this for hours. Here we go.
Hi, thank you so much, Luke. Yeah, it's so awesome hearing your passion and your story, and it really comes off the way you said your background and story. So thanks again. Yeah, so I'm back, and I'm super excited to also introduce Luis. Again, I will let Luis share his own background and story about being in our GEG program. But the one thing that I did want to share about Luis is that he's actually one of the first educators I've ever met when I took over the trainer and GEG programs. And at the time, I was still like this timid, confused program manager. And Luis was so kind and actually really encouraged me to put my whole heart into the job. And now that I've had the pleasure of knowing Luis so much more, that's just a huge testament to how Luis works, because I see it, and I'm sure his colleagues see it as well. He truly dedicates his time and efforts into everything he does, and just always lifts up everyone around him. So I'm so lucky to get to know Luis. And Luis, I'll let you take it away.
Okay. So hi everyone. My name is
Luis. You might be on mute. Oh,
Nope. Is it? No. Okay. So my name is Luis Pertus. I am a technology integrator from Colegio Marymount in Barranquilla, Colombia. I am a Google I used to say I was a Google certified everything until they came up with coach, but I'm working on it. So soon. My story with GEG starts maybe 6 years ago, when a friend of mine became a certified innovator, and he was a very good friend, and we took over for what was then GEG Colombia, which didn't really exist. It was somebody had it, but they didn't really use it, so we tried taking it over. Part of all of this was because I started becoming I started with level 2. And then I thought it was awesome. And then I started helping out people at school, and I wanted to go for trainer. But then to go for trainer, I had to go and take level 1. So I had to go back. And then I took the trainer assessment, and I also became a Google certified trainer. The thing is, I'm amazed at him doing everything I can't. Okay. So what really happens is something that I've seen that happens in all the schools I've worked in, because I worked in several schools. You are never an authority in the place where you're working at, because people rely on you being there. But when you go somewhere else, people really, really pay attention. And it's one of those things that really encouraged me to try and reach out and try to build community. And I don't know, the States is not as bad as we are in Latin America, but at least here, it's really hard for teachers to reach out to other teachers around the city and around the country. And one of those things that we really, really were working hard in GEG Colombia was to make something, a very big community where people would be willing to reach out and to share and to, do as much for each other as was possible. And then I became a certified innovator. And at the Certified Innovator Academy, I met a whole bunch of crazy people, including Jared, who was there with me in person. So we know each other personally. And then as the community kept growing and growing, it was so much fun getting to know people from around the world and in other innovator cohorts, because we're not just blocked into our little group. People who are certified trainers know that the trainer forum is insane, and the innovator forum is just as crazy. And all of us are very, very good friends, no matter where we are. And one of those big experiences that I got when I started talking to other people from the different cohorts around the different cohorts from last year, several of us got together and we said, we want to be coaches next year. And then we didn't know COVID was happening. So, and of those, 6 of us got together and we started discussing our experiences with the global educator groups and with the Google educator groups. And we were having issues restarting ours. Ours had died down. Abid was trying to spark up UK. Stephanie was working on GEG Ohio. The other Stephanie was working on Northern California. And and Leslie was working on Australia, and Bonnie was working on Louisiana. And we were having so much fun, but we were having trouble helping each other out in making something better, bigger, stronger. So we first reached out to the Innovator program and asked permission if we could do something as a group and to declare it our Innovator project. And then we reached out to May to see if we could make a global Google educator group, which would encompass everybody that wanted to help us and help out other educator groups around the world. And May said yes. And she has been a rock, and she's been one of our biggest cheerleaders, and she's been willing to spur us on and give us as much as we need so that we can make everything better. So the 6 of us, we started working by ourselves. We started doing different little projects, and we were having loads and loads and loads of fun. And it was amazing. And for those of you who are afraid of failing, this is not, of course, this is not my Innovator project, at least not the original one. But Global GEG has been an awesome project from among all of us. And it's grown so much, and it's been insane. It says on the slide deck over there, May asked us for stats, and then we came up and we looked at our YouTube channel stats, and seeing that we had more than 275,000 views was crazy. And especially if you consider that all of those videos are mostly an hour long. So that means people have watched 275,000 hours of video that we made. And then when we were reached out to so we could help with the Google educators, the Google Junior Training Series, it was insane. And having this immense, huge, wonderful group of like-minded wackos from around the world that were willing to help us, donating their spare time, donating their effort, their sweat, everything to make something better for everyone. It was crazy, and it's very fun. It's amazing. Being able to help people from all around the world has been one of very life-changing for all of us. The certified innovator, certified trainer, the educator levels are all very productive, but this has been crazy and I love it. So yeah, there's nothing I can say more than it's a global educator, a Google Educator Group is crazy. The other thing is, no matter where we're from, and Luke can tell us because Luke is from New Zealand and he's working in Vietnam, and everybody in the chat and everywhere is from all around the world, that no matter where you are in the world, and no matter what teachers, what type of kids you teach, what language you're speaking, what culture you're from, or where in the world you are, all the schools really, really deep down are all the same. And then lots of the experiences that we have, somebody else has had already. So when you have problems as an educator, when you have an issue, if you reach out to other educators, somebody surely has had that problem before. And the community really helps us work it out or make it better. Or if it's something really, really brand new, the community can help you get ready and face it. Like when this whole COVID thing started, the community between the innovators and the educator groups, we came up with plans and templates of plans that schools could apply to try and do PD and stuff for their teachers so they could get prepared to do distance learning, which nobody was prepared for. And that was one of the things that we spread it out, and it was there, and it was resources out there for everyone, and it was amazing. And there's nothing that has brought more satisfaction than the awesome 5 friends that I have and that I am so lucky to be a part of, to be able to a part of founding Global GEG and helping I don't know how many hundreds or thousands of people out in making their world better and smaller. So yeah, it's been fun.
Thanks so much, Luis, for sharing. I mean, your passion just really shows in everything you said about your GEG, the global GEG. And I can't echo enough how global GEG has really changed so many lives for people. And I'm just super proud of everyone who has been involved and helping out and just providing all this free network PD friendship for people around the world. So it's just truly incredible. So that wraps up all of our educator stories for now. And I just really have to say that we here at Google are so lucky to have everyone in our programs, and you guys got to meet some of our very, very best and special members. And so let's move on to the Q&A. I think the first question is from Mel. Hi, Mel. She asked, what do you think is the best reason for being a trainer or for going for the trainer program? So I'll let Nicole handle that.
That's a great question. Aside from pushing yourself to learn, I would say the absolute best part of being a trainer is the community of trainers, that you have a group of people who are just as passionate as you are about teacher support, about growing in their craft. And so to me, that's the best part of the trainer community. Like, you get to meet and hang out with people like the folks who are on this call tonight, for sure.
Also the perks. There's lots of perks for training. There's lots of awesome stuff. May has been a champion for trainers all over. And there's lots of stuff that's available for people who are certified trainers. And it's very cool, not only to get really cool stuff, but the community is insane. Anything you need, people there have already faced it or are willing to help, and it's awesome.
Thanks so much. Yeah, and I'm super biased, obviously, because I am in charge of our trainer program here. But I think one of the best things about it is what you can bring back to the place that you work at. So your school, to your colleagues. When I was teaching, I wish that there was a trainer, or I was a trainer, or I knew of some sort of way to connect with other like-minded people and other people who share that same passion. And yeah, everything Louise and Nicole said, I just want to echo that. I think we don't have any more questions at the moment. So people in the chat, if you guys want to drop questions for people here, let us know. But yeah, while we're waiting, does anyone else like Luke or Jared or anyone want to share anything? I know you guys share, like Jared, you share about being a coach, but do you have other anecdotes maybe about being in other programs? And same with Luke, I know you just became a trainer, right? I believe. So yeah, any further thoughts that you want to talk about the community?
The thing which I think, and Luis had on it before, is it's, in my head, I always thought it was North American in a way, and then realizing how global this community is with the GEGs, with the trainers, with the innovators. Within my small group of 6 people, there was Hong Kong, Singapore, India, Malaysia. I was in Vietnam. There was another in Taiwan. So it was a global Southeast Asian group. 5 languages spoke between us. And then we got into the bigger groups, and we were all facing the same problems. We were all going through the issues which this year has placed upon us as educators, and we were able to solve most things by seeing the resources which were there and making connections with people who were there to help us. Seeing the GEGs this year, it just blows my mind. I've watched a few of the hour-long videos, and I sit there and I watch it from the whole time, just being inspired by people sharing their stories and sharing the ways that they want to help other educators out there and just give up their own time. And that's a beautiful thing. So the global community to me is fantastic.
Yeah, thanks so much. And Jared, I want to get to you as well, because I know you are a huge, like, very special part of Global GEG, knowing, everyone, I see the comments and they love you and it works so well with you. Before that, though, there was a question from Denise who asked, she started the trainer process last year. She did basically everything. And can she still use that to resubmit this year? And the answer is yes, you are totally fine. You can use all of that. And we accept on a rolling basis. So just submit when you can, and we'll look out for your application. So yeah, Jared, do you want to just share any additional anecdotes? Is Jared on mute or just for me?
He appears to be on mute.
We lost your audio.
We lost him.
Okay, now we're going to watch our coach troubleshoot in action.
Oh, no pressure,
Jared. No pressure.
It always hits the tech people.
Right? I can almost free Jared's mind/lips, so we can play that game. But May, I can brag on Jared while he tech troubleshoots, which is one thing that he's done for the coach program is actually start mentoring coaches that are aspiring to get this new certification. So I joke that he's our super coach, because just to put all the programs together, Jared was one of our first coaches, then connected with the Global GEG group, and they have a whole amazing system that I won't do justice to, and many of them are here, so I'll let them brag about themselves in the chat. But a whole system where they're doing a book study and a monthly meetup for all these folks who are interested in getting the certified coach certification. And it like warms my heart to see Jared be the person that's like, you can do it, and here's what I've learned, and here are the parts where, they're confusing or challenging, or the parts that I loved. And it's just really lovely to see that continuation of folks who've gone through the program like Jared kind of be able to give back in that way, and to do it through a Global GEG group that, as Luke mentioned, is just this like incredible network of global educators. So thank you guys.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Jared, I bought you enough time. Phew, sweating over here.
Yeah. For those that are interested in getting the certified coach program, Global GEG, through our hashtag EC Open Chat. We're, like Amanda said, we're doing book studies. We got a whole community of coaches. Again, it's having that PLN of people going through the process, in the process, out of the process. It's fantastic. And like I was trying to say earlier, if it wasn't for Luis, I would have no idea what GEGs were, because at our Innovator Academy, he kept bringing it up, and I'm like, what is this? And so I'm looking at it, and then, then I started doing more research, because my project for Innovator was wanting to help teachers, providing resources and materials for teachers. And so it kind of just morphed into a GEG, because, after talking with Luis and, all the different things that were happening there, and I'm like, wait, this is a great vehicle for, helping people beyond my local community. But then, COVID happened. Had all these great ideas, and COVID happened. But hey, social media and StreamYard and YouTube, all that stuff are all fantastic.
Don't knock COVID. If it weren't for COVID, Global GEG wouldn't be here.
That's true. You're exactly right.
And I recommended you. I nominated you for GEG, right? Yeah. Yeah, it was
That's
fun.
correct. Yeah. I think there was some downtime when May was taking it over, and I didn't hear anything, and so So then once it all happened, it happened really, really fast. And the Global GEG community, as you can see in the chat, they are a wonderful group of people. Like today, I was talking with a coach in Amman, Jordan, and how mind-blowing is that to be able to collaborate with people from across the globe. But that's, to me, it's just awe-inspiring.
Cool. Yeah. So with you guys talking about the GEGs, there's actually two questions, one from Bill and one from Shannon, basically asking similar things. So maybe Louise, you can answer this for us, but what advice would you give to people who are interested in getting involved with a GEG? And then the follow up to that is, if you were a GEG leader, how do you usually recruit members into your GEG group? Because there's concerns with, how involved educators should be, or what kind of people should they recruit? So any advice you can give? Okay, so there's a few, they're not hard and fast rules, but there are rules. First, before we start with the rules, I always go with the bad stuff first. Look up, there's a GEG map. And in our website, there's a map where you can look up where the GEGs are around you. So you can, if you're not in a GEG, because there's people who aren't, you can go to your nearest one, or if there is nothing near you or nothing reasonably near you, you can ask somebody to nominate you to see if you can start your own. And you don't have to be Google certified anything to start a GEG. You have to have the willpower and the time to invest, and that's it. And then there comes some sort of rules. You do have to be in education. You're not supposed to be a partner. You can only be like a person who's an educator in a school or working at a school. You have to be involved with education. You could be administration. There are some people who run GEGs who are admins in school. You don't have to be a teacher, but you have to be in a school. So you have to be in like the environment. About recruiting people for GEGs, it's weird, but I'd recommend try and talk to people who you want to work with, and try to talk to people who are passionate as you are, and who are willing to share, and who are willing to give credit to others, and who are selfless in the way they share, and how they give out freely and are willing to receive freely. Try, and this is really hard for some of us, try and accept issues try and accept problems as they come, and don't look for the solution immediately, because sometimes, the more people think about the same thing at the same time, it's better. As teachers, we're focused on trying to come up with the solution when we talk about the problem, and that's not the idea. And that's something that Innovator has taught us all a lot. If we have to focus, and we have to fall in love with the problem, not the solution, because if we're madly in love with the solution, then we're not going to look at it the right way. We have to fall in love with the problem to solve the problem, not to come to a solution. So yeah. Yeah. Great answer. I have another question. So Itzel. I hope I'm pronouncing the name right, but someone correct me if that's incorrect. But it says, if I use regularly Google for education tools, do you think that I can pass the first certificate, so the L1, on my own, or do I need to have some specific training? And maybe let's pass it on to Nicole, who's actively training her colleagues and folks at her school through the L1. So any advice and what are your thoughts?
Yeah, that probably was our focus the first year, is to get them comfortable with using the tools regularly. If you're using them regularly as a teacher and you're working students with using them regularly to learn, then level 1 should be, I won't say a piece of cake. It'll be easier for you as long as you're using it regularly. For sure, you should be fine with level 1.
Just run through the material that's on the teacher website. You don't have to do everything. If you trust yourself in what you do, just run through the quizzes, look at it. If there's something you really don't know, then go back and do the material. Because even if you think you know and you use everything, there's something you don't really use. So like Google Groups, lots of people don't use Google Groups. Lots of people don't know how to do playlists in YouTube or add end cards and all that little weird niggly stuff. That sort of stuff, run through it. But if you use it on a daily basis, it's not going to be a problem.
Yeah, Luis, I actually also wonder, I see you're in the chat too, the public one. If you also want to drop the link for the Global GEG Bootcamp level 1, because I know that got like 10,000 views. And I think that would be helpful for anyone who's just watching in case they want to pass it on too.
Yeah, sure.
Cool. We have another question, and this is for Jared. So it's from Steph. For coaching, you talked about impact. So do you have any suggestions for school where it's set up to where only a few new teachers can become coaches? Like, how did those teachers can create impact at a school like that?
Well, when it comes to teachers, if you're wanting to pursue the coaching program, it's definitely geared for people who spend 70% of their time or more working with teachers one-on-one. You know, it's a little bit more difficult if you're strictly a classroom teacher. But really just kind of go through the curriculum and, you know, just pick 1 or 2 people to do a full coaching cycle with, where you're walking through the steps, where you're meeting, you're figuring out what the challenge is. Jenny Magara's Courageous Adventures, the Gripe Jam protocol that is in that book. It's amazing for getting challenges out of teachers, because what they think they have is different than what actually comes out through conversations and things like that. And then pick your strategy, make sure that you're meeting regularly, that you're implementing everything you can, and then just sharing it out. One of the biggest things as a coach is sharing other teachers' stories. So Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever you have, sharing that teacher's story, getting the teacher to share their story, because that ripple effect, you have no idea what the teachers are talking about behind your back. So I'll tell you one story was a teacher, I showed her classroomscreen.com as a way to organize things for students as they come in, so they see it on the board and they know what they need to do. And that was just one little strategy for that teacher. Next thing I know, the entire building is using it, and I had no idea until I started walking into other teachers' rooms, and it's like, oh yeah, so-and-so told me about that. She said you had mentioned it. It's just that kind of stuff is the impact, and take note of it. You know, keep a journal, things like that, because, you know, if you have to face administration or school board members or something like that, you can refer back to that kind of stuff. It's powerful. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, no, that totally answered the question. And I think that's such great advice, Jared. And it's really inspiring to hear you talk. I am rereading Steph's question, and I realized, I read it wrong. So I'm glad I asked that though, so that you could share all of that knowledge. But what Steph was actually saying, and Steph, I'm so sorry if you're still watching, but she was asking, what if a school only wants the coach to coach new teachers? So what can they do as a coach to make sure all of their colleagues and other folks who may not be new, but still want that that one-on-one relationship and that dynamic?
In that instance, maybe, yeah, your new people are on full coaching cycles, but maybe you do like coaching light with your regular staff or the people that have been there a while, just kind of doing more check-ins, maybe things that last 2 or 3 weeks, who what a quick little challenge might be that they have. And then, but yeah, focus your time on the new people, bring them up to speed. But yeah, don't forget about everybody else. That's the struggle I have too, because yeah, you always go to the new people first in the building to catch them up, and then everybody else is like, "Is it my turn? When's it my turn?" So yeah, little light cycles, just little pops in, like, "Hey, try this or try that," and then just keep checking in on them without a full coaching model cycle type thing.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much, Jared. I think we might be out of time, so if I don't think there's other questions in the chat, so I guess let's wrap it up. And thank you all, Louise, Jared, Nicole, and Luke, so much for attending. Amanda for hosting and leading it in the beginning as well. And yeah, thank you all for attending.
Thanks, Sean. He's been awesome.
Yeah.
It's been so much fun.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sean. Cool. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye,
Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you.
See you, everybody.